I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everybody. Mark, a.k.a. the Controversial Christian, coming to you here in Livingston, Tennessee. I'm going to talk a little bit today, after I read our prayer and do our reading. I'm going to talk a little bit today about slavery, racism, and entitlement. It's going to be kind of an interesting topic. February 19th. Yep, we're still in Lent. Yeah, the book says that at the top. Let's see. Once again, it goes quite a while. Okay. Let me hold fast to you, beautiful Lord, whom the angels themselves yearn to look upon. Wherever you go, I will follow you. You carry my griefs because you grieve for my sake. You pass through the narrow doorway from death to life, to make it wide enough for all to follow. Nothing can ever now separate me from your love. Amen. Amen. There we go. Let's see. Today's reading is called Having Ears to Hear. News of these things came to the ears of the church in Jerusalem, and they sent out Barnabas to go as far as Antioch. When he came and had seen the grace of God, he was glad and encouraged them all. That's from Acts 11:22 and 23. Have you ever noticed that sometimes children seem to have selective hearing? A lot of people have that, not just children. Their parents can ask them to pick up their toys, brush their teeth, or finish their homework, but there is no response. Either they aren't listening or they don't want to do what is being asked of them. Fortunately, the congregation in Jerusalem didn't have the same hearing problem. When the church members found out about the wonderful work happening in Antioch, they didn't turn a deaf ear. They acted promptly and sent Barnabas there to build up the believers and encourage them to remain true to God. This kind of support spurred on the believers in Antioch to carry on their mission. Our churches can be like the ones in Jerusalem by listening to what God is doing locally and around the world. We can then discern how we can be involved in finances, prayer, or support with those He's sending out. Let's listen to what God is asking us to do. Unity is necessary among the children of God if we are going to know the flow of power to see God do His wonders. A.W. Tozer said that. Okay. Today we're going to talk about slavery, racism, and entitlement. And our people today really looking for a handout. Now, if you ask 100 people what they think about racism and slavery, you'll probably get 200 answers plus, you know. As I watch the news and I read articles on the internet, I begin to see something that others may also see. The current generation and the current political clown college, as I call them, seem to be looking for a handout. They seem to think that they should be paid for what their ancestors went through 200 years ago. Fact is, only about 5% of the current population have any connection with slavery from back then. What it is they're entitled. And the government's kind of, padding it and pushing it forward, They're trying to make it think like all these poor people, they went through, black people weren't the only ones that were slaves. There was white slaves too, and even black people owned slaves. So I don't know where they're getting off with this. Well, you owe us money just because the Indians got paid, but it was actually their land to begin with. So I can see why they paid them. And Ronald Reagan also gave money to the Japanese that were in internment camps here in the United States during the Second World War, but they were technically prisoners of war. So there's a big difference between being a prisoner of war or owning land and having somebody take it from you and them, and compensating them for you. A lot of them are saying, well, if it wasn't for slavery back then, we'd be a lot better off. No. Whites and blacks have both been slaves. And Oriental people, everybody of every nationality has been slaves. They've got sex slaves now. I mean, they got everything. So what happened? Now, I was watching TV the other day, and this black woman was on there talking. And she said something about, I think it was 1965, when the government passed the welfare reform, something like that, where, women could stay home, they could have babies, and they could get a check, to help support their family. Well, this made it easy for people. And I'm not just saying it was the black people, because it was white people too. Because my sister used to work for the welfare office up in New York, and some of the stories that she told me are unreal. Able-bodied people that was able to work, for some reason they couldn't find a job. If you're going to find a job, you got to look for one first before you. The government made it easier for people to get money back then. It's a little bit harder now, but still, we got more people, getting disability, and there's really nothing wrong with them. They just got an entitlement mentality, and then there's, the racism. I saw something on TV. This kind of piqued my curiosity. This is just an example of how screwbally people really are today. Now, this is Bill Gates saying this. I think all that money must have went to his head or something, because he's kind of a screwball now, too. He's backing a movement that says math is racist. Yeah, you heard me right. Math is racist. 1 and 1 is 2, but that's racist. What do they want it to be? 3? I mean, come on. See, what it is, like there's some kids in classrooms, they might be a little bit underdeveloped and like that, and they can't keep up with the problems and like that. So instead of, helping them with the problems, or maybe taking them back to a level that they can understand stuff better, because they don't want to hurt their feelings if they get it wrong. Just like what is, I'm seeing it all over where, if like you're having a competition and some of the kids lose, well, they should give them a trophy too or something, because, it just hurts their feelings that it's called competition. It's exactly what competition. See, that's the trouble. People are just getting so lazy, they don't even want to learn. They just want, they're just sitting there waiting for that next stimulus check to come. And now, Joe Biden is opening up the borders and allowing all these people to come in. And how do you know who's coming in? What kind of morons are these people in government nowadays? I mean, I hate to talk bad about people, but my God, you can't fix. I mean, Ron White said it when he said you can't fix stupid. I mean, what are these people thinking? If they're so worried about, these people are having such a bad life, then why don't they take them in and pay them out of their own pocket instead of the taxpayers' pocket? And then, I mean, we've got this global pandemic here with the coronavirus. And if they're letting these people coming in, how do you know? You can't just look at somebody and say, well, they don't have coronavirus, so come on in. No, you can't do that. You don't know who has coronavirus and who doesn't. And how do you know they're not a terrorist, coming to do harm to people? Then they're racism because you won't let these people come in. That ain't racism. It's what you call being smart. I mean, what do you think? Do us taxpayers want to support the whole world or what? I mean, come on. And then if you say something to them like that, then they pull the race card, Well, you're prejudiced. No, I'm not. I'm religious. I'm not racist. They just, and then they protest and they keep pushing these issues like, There's this college called Jesuit, I think it's how you pronounce it, Catholic school in Massachusetts. All right. The college is predominantly white. There's like maybe 4% of the kids that go there are black. And they're putting these BLM matter signs and like that around, and people are defacing them. And then they wonder why. The college is 96% white. So you put black people in this college, and it makes them feel like they're being invaded, the government is, anti-discrimination and like that, but you got to be smart about it too. That's just like taking a lamb and throwing him in a lion's den and not expecting anything to happen. You know what's going to happen, don't you? Yeah, somebody's going to get hurt. And a lot of these people resent them now. I mean, they watch all these protests and everything on TV, and they see this BLM people. Well, that ain't, of course, they have nothing to do with that. Oh yeah, they did. All these riots and everything, and they burned down all these buildings last summer. These people worked hard for these businesses, and it's just gone and woof. So I know I say a lot. I can't help it. I think this is just my opinion, but I think racism is caused by people trying to push their issues of racism on other people. There's even a lot of black people on TV. They're not for this Black Lives Matter and like that stuff. And I see it all. I see them on there talking all the time about it. It's just some kind of a movement. They're trying to take the issues of what the problems are and focus it on what their needs are. They don't care about what other people need. It's what they need. Me, 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 me. It's all about them. Well, it should be all about everybody. It don't matter if you're white, black, yellow, red. It don't matter who you are. We all need to love one another. But they are just out there trying to push their issue of Black Lives Matter because, police officers are racist towards them. Well, police officers are out there doing a job. And I think probably 75 or 80% of the crimes are committed by black, young black people or even black people in these neighborhoods. You know what they need? They need more education is what they need. It's not about, give me money because, my ancestors were slaves to whoever was 200 years ago or whatever it was. That was 200 years ago. The world's a totally different place now. Excuse me. I mean, everybody can vote now. And I see one thing. The Democrats are trying to get all these, like they said, like 11 million illegal aliens. They're trying to get all of them to be American citizens for one reason and one reason only, because they want their votes. So they can take over the world, take over the United States. Because, these people we don't want to hurt their feelings, Nobody wants to hurt their feelings, Everybody is just, oh my goodness, we can't. Poor things. And the world is watching, and they're seeing what a bunch of sissies we got here. And you know what's going to happen? One of these days, somebody's going to try to take us over. And what do you think all them babies are going to do? They didn't learn how to take care of themselves or anything. When there's bullets flying, what do you think they're going to do? Or bombs are going off and like that? What do you think they're going to do? When somebody invades us, if you don't teach them how to stick up for themselves now and how to rely on themselves, what do you think's going to happen? You can't rely on other people to take care of you. You got to take care of yourself. You got to put your trust in Jesus. Jesus will help you. Try to love one another. And I mean, this is just getting ridiculous. Cancel culture. I mean, what was it? One of them, I can't remember what. Kardashians, I think it was. They started a liquor company. tequila. Oh, now that's racism against Spanish people because you know who's coming. You know who I think is coming up with this idea? Broke people sitting around, they got nothing better to do, so they got to criticize other people because they're broke and they can't figure out. And these other people are making money, and they're jealous because they're not making the money. Well, get out there and do something about it then. Instead of just complaining about, well, this one here's got this money, and that one here's got, and I think they should pay me because my ancestors were enslaved. No. Go and get a job and support yourself. I worked my whole life. My dad worked his whole life. My grandfather. You know, they all worked. You know, they didn't lack for nothing. I never lacked for nothing when I was a kid. My kids all had everything they needed. We didn't rely on a government check every month. You know. Well, there was a time when me and my first wife, we split up. And she was on Social Security services. But I had to pay child support. You know, if I didn't pay, they took me to jail. You know, so. And I remember back then, too, when they had, now they got them fancy cards there. Back when we was younger, they had those food coupons, we call them. You tear them out of the booklet like that. Boy, time sure has changed, haven't they? Yes, they have. Sometimes it ain't for the better either. You know, I think technology has made us lazier as a society. You know, and then now people have got their hands out. And what are they teaching them in these schools? I mean, core, what do they call it? Core curriculum or something? Where they've got this math problem that they do. No wonder why they say math is racism. The way they try to figure this problem, I mean, there's 10 times 10 is, what, 100? It takes you 5 minutes to figure it out the way they've got it set up. What kind of morons are they? They're trying to make everything complicated because they're trying to sweep the truth underneath the rug. So it's called filibuster, I believe is what they call it in politics. They dance around the whole truth and everything. And then, I mean, you know, use common sense with stuff today. You know, because not everybody's a racist. But, you know, if you put 2 or 3 black people in a group of 100 white people, there's going to be problems. If you sent, you know, they've got black colleges and everything. They've got, what is it, February is Black History Month. You know, you don't see white people having White History Month, do you? So, I mean, what's going on here? You know, they're trying to, is it a bad thing to be white or something? I mean, I don't get it. You know, if you sent a white guy to a black college, do you think there's going to be problems? You better believe there's going to be problems. So why would it be any different if you sent black people to a white college? Well, you know, the government says that you can't discriminate like that. All you're doing is just throwing a hand grenade into a pile of gasoline cans. You know, what do you think's going to happen? People don't use common sense today. That's the problem. You know, not everybody is racist, but then again, you know, if it's, well, I want that job. This white guy wants a job and a black guy wants a job. But if the white guy gets a job and a black guy don't, then it's racism. Well, what happens if the black guy gets a job and the white guy gets, is that racism too? You know, what's going on with this country? I just can't, I just don't understand it. There's not enough Jesus. That's what the problem is. Too much crybabyism and not enough Jesus. Not enough praying. Not enough thanking God for what you have. Or thanking God to have God bless you so that you can be more prosperous. You gotta take the initiative. You know. You gotta help yourself. Ain't nobody else gonna do it for you. You can sit back and think all you want that somebody's gonna help you live your life. You know, you don't get investment advice from somebody broke, do you? No. So, get out there. Ain't nobody going to do it but yourself. You can't rely on the government saying, well, because, my ancestors were enslaved. I bet some of mine were too. But you don't see me going to the government crying that I want compensated for it now. Yeah, I make my own money. I don't rely on anybody else. And I even took custody of my 2 grandchildren too. And let me tell you, when you're 62 years old, taking on 2 young children, that's a lot of work. You ought to try it sometime. Maybe get a different perspective on life. Instead of crying and wanting the government to hand you out money all the time. Okay, I've rambled on long enough now. It just upsets me that people just think they're so entitled to everything. They got their hand out. Oh Lord, forgive me what I have been. Sanctify what I am and order what I shall be. Amen. Amen, everybody. Mark the Controversial Christian. Signing off today. Y'all have a blessed day. We love you. We'll see you again tomorrow.